Hi, I'm Councilmember Matt Orlando, and today's latest edition of Focus on Chandler, I have two special guests here, Councilmember-elect Jane Poston and Councilmember-elect Angel Encinas. Both of them were elected last August as representatives of our City Council, and we're looking forward to your installation in January. So I'd like to start out with ladies first.
Thank you.
Jane Poston, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, Councilmember Orlando, first off, thanks for allowing us to be here today. This is very exciting. I am really excited to begin my term as a council member. I have a couple of things in my background. I've been in Chandler for a very long time, very committed to the community. I grew up in the East Valley. We won't say the competing city that I grew up in. But what's maybe unique about me is that I'm a former city employee. I actually worked for the city of Chandler for about 12 years in the communications division. So I was familiar with all of the departments in the city simply because my job was to deliver the great news that the city of Chandler does to the residents. I left the city about 7 years ago in a very happy with my term here, but I went to work back in a business that I own with my husband. He and I started that about 23 years ago when we got married. We do video production and communication. So I've been a small business owner for quite a while, involved in a lot of the nonprofits, served on many boards. Was most recently chair of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce. So I feel like I brought a diverse background to the job.
I think, yeah, and that's very impressive. The fact that you have a small business exposure plus a city exposure makes you uniquely qualified. And I appreciate you. Give us a few minutes of your time there. Mr. Encinas.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. I know your mom for many years, so we're almost like kinship here.
Yeah, she has been around. She has been around for a long time here in Chandler, making a difference out here. But thank you as well for having us on here and giving us a little chance to be an introduction out here. A little bit about myself. I am Chandler through and through. I've grown up here my entire life, right here in the barrio, the neighborhood right here in downtown Chandler. I went to all Chandler public schools, graduated from Chandler High School, continued my education at Arizona State University. Right now for work, I do immigration consulting, which is our family's business here in Chandler as well. So I help people legalize here in the United States. I also do real estate as well. So when you're ready to sell your house, Mr. Orlando, give me a call.
Call my wife.
Sounds good. And then, yeah, and so I still live here in downtown Chandler. So I live, work, play here in downtown Chandler. I'm a little on a personal side. I like to travel. I like to work out and enjoy happy hours as well.
Well, I can't top that. So no, and yeah, like I say, I know your family a long time, your mom, and I'm so glad you're on the council as well. So it's going to be exciting to work with both of you. So, Jane, you're a business person. You work for the city.
Yes.
What made you decide to jump into politics?
You know, this might sound a little naive, but when I jumped in, I didn't really consider it politics, so to speak. I really saw it more as a community service. I am a believer that municipal government is the most important level of government. It's where you can affect the most change. It really affects residents. You know, you can be very personal. I love how the city of Chandler, our residents can talk directly to our council members, and that when they call city staff, the city staff responds. And I think that's unexpected from government these days. So I really saw it as another way of serving the community. I've been in the community quite a long time, involved in the schools, like I said, involved in nonprofits. And this was just sort of that next step for me. So I felt like there was an opening. I felt in terms of council members leaving that position. So I thought I brought, even though it was sort of a fresh view, I think I also bring some experience in terms of having that viewpoint of both the small business owner, which I think is very important, and as a city employee from my background as well. So to me, it was just a fit, and it was just a really good time for me personally as well.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did that too. It's a tough transition. It really is. You got to make a long, it's different from being in the back room somewhere, communication,
Absolutely.
a staff member, and then coming to the public eye like that.
Yeah, and I understand. I'm going to have to be very cognizant of that. You know, one of the things that's been great is that Councilmember-elect Encinas and I have had time to do orientation,
Right.
and so I've tried to approach it with the understanding that what I knew before is definitely not what I know now. Things have changed. And also I need to look at it from a different perspective, from a governance perspective, as opposed to that day-to-day operations perspective, and have that right approach from the council.
Yeah, agrees. How about you, sir? What made you think about getting into politics?
You know what launched me into this is the background in what I do professionally, which is immigration consulting. And a little on that, we do all the advisement, document preparation to help people legalize. And, you know, it's anything from DACA to residency to citizenship. And working in that line of work and assisting people to achieve something better for their lives is what truly inspired me to do this. It was very rewarding to help people. And I essentially kind of got addicted to helping people to do something like that. So I wanted to do it on a larger scale. And it's something that I considered for a few years. And I decided, why not help my own community achieve those goals together?
Oh, that's great news. And again, it's going to be exciting to work with you from that different perspective as well. So you both have a little bit of business background, a little bit involved in activities outside the city, a little bit of advocacy, which is great. That's a good diverse background. So, you know, funny thing, a lot of people don't realize how arduous it is to run on a city council, to run for any elected office. I'm going to go start with Angel real quick.
Good.
What did you learn on the campaign trail?
That people are very passionate about things here, even though we're at a local level. And, you know, some residents, you know, everyone's so busy with their day-to-day lives, with their kids, with work and everything, that sometimes they don't focus on what's truly going around at the city, or, you know, what ordinances, what policies, and what changes are going to be affecting their families. And going out there and seeing how many people there are that are truly passionate about things that are going on in their community, it really resonated with me. And I was like, yes, this is making me more motivated to even go out there and represent residents, because they believe in these things, they're fighting for these things, and I want to be an advocate for them as well.
Yeah. How about you, Jane?
It's a very similar answer to Angel's. I was surprised how educated residents are on the issues that are happening. They definitely care. They are paying attention. They want to have that conversation. They're willing to have that conversation. I got a lot of very pointed, educated, smart questions that told me that people are paying attention and they really do care about Chandler. And I think Chandler is really kind of unique in that way. We have such an educated community anyhow, but they're very educated on what's going on in their own city and what that means to them in their day-to-day lives.
You know, and what impressed me about both of you on the campaign trail, you know, we did work, you know, some areas, is you were not afraid to retail politics. In the day and age of social media and advertisement, you folks went out and knocked on doors, and you personally met people, and that to me, I think, connects, no matter whether it was, you know, 40 years ago when I first ran, almost 40 years ago, or today. It's still the same thing, that retail politics, getting down to talking to people.
You know what was interesting is so many people, I think it's very easy to be angry online and on social media, like you say, but when you stand right in front of someone and have those conversations, and what I loved was actually even talking to people who maybe disagreed with some of the things that I had said in articles, but they were very willing to have a conversation with me, and they were happy that I was willing to have a conversation with them. And I think that's so important right now, to especially be able to talk to people who maybe your views don't align on everything, but I think overall most people agree on more that they disagree than they disagree on. And,
I agree.
And actually having those conversations brings that out.
I agree. And, you know, people don't realize we have to get over 1,000 signatures, and it's a very arduous process. So, yeah.
Yes, it is.
And we kind of touched on it a little bit, but what does it mean to you to be on the council, from that, taking that leap?
It's been interesting. You know, I think I sort of alluded to it a little, is that I don't want to have the impression that I already know everything.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And it's sometimes hard to do because you get so excited. We were on a tour this morning of our nature center, and, you know, I love going there, and I started talking to it about Angel. I'm like, oh wait, let's let them do their jobs. That's not mine.
Good.
But it's just that awareness and that sensitivity that the position has changed. You know, most people in the city, there are a lot of people here that I know as peers and friends and colleagues, and maybe being sensitive that while I feel very much the same, that position of being on council creates maybe a different dynamic.
And that's a good point. I was thinking about that as we talked years ago.
Hmm.
That is a different dynamic. It's a little adjustment you're both going to have to make, right? As
Yes.
council member versus, yeah.
Yes. And being called council member sometimes by someone who has always called me
Jane?
is a little bit startling. So, but it's actually very, very fun too.
Good. So, Angel, we have probably one of the most diverse councils we've had in a long time in our city, which is great because we do represent a larger purview. You're the first openly LGBTQ person elected to council. How do you feel about that?
I'm very proud, very optimistic, and I'm very humbled. I not only represent the LGBT community, I represent other communities here in Chandler as, the Chandler residents, the Latino community, a youth community, a business community and stuff. And this is what Chandler voted for. In this time, in this age and stuff, this is what the Chandler voters elected. And I'm very proud of that, and I want to set an example and be that role model for others in the future to inspire them and let them know, hey, you can live your life openly gay and be sitting on the chambers here on the dais here in Chandler. So that's really important to me, is to bring that representation, because representation is power, and mostly be that example for the future, because I may be the first year in Chandler, but I'm most likely not going to be the last.
Good, and hope we're not. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so we're going to get down to the meat of it, right?
Okay.
You were elected, and you had some issues that you thought was passion to you as well as the community. What are the 3 top issues that you want to accomplish as we go forward?
Sure. I think they're the ones that are really at the heart of community and the heart of, municipal government. And maybe the top one would probably be public safety,
Yeah.
police and fire. That's been a priority discussion. When I said that residents that I talked to were very passionate and interested and educated on that issue, making sure that we have enough public safety employees, that we have enough police, we have enough fire, that we are forward thinking and planning for the future. And we are a safe community, and I know that people feel that way, and that's important too, to understand that they feel that way. But public safety, another big issue, and it's happening right now, is the non-discrimination ordinance. I worked with the chamber when I was on their board. We actually brought Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chamber to our chamber board. We got businesses to write letters to the council at the time. This was a couple of years ago when it very first came up. We created a whole campaign in the chamber to educate our community about why this was important. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that passed. I think it says something about who we are as a community. I think that's reflected in what Angel just said. So that, and then always just those very basic services, in terms of our neighborhoods, the keeping them clean, keeping them safe. We got a tour of our parks facilities, and they're so important to our residents. That's just at the heart of what we do. We offer those great amenities, and I just want to make sure I'm here because Chandler's a great community, not because it's a bad one or there's some big change that needs to be made. And so I want to be a part of making sure that we stay that way.
Great. How about you, Angel?
On the similar page, we kind of ran similar platforms throughout the campaign, because these are the main focus points for the residents here in Chandler are going to be our neighborhoods, our public safety, and our small businesses, which is huge for me as well as a small business owner. That's something that I want to champion and make sure that business continues to thrive here in Chandler for the future. But neighborhoods is a big issue for me. As someone who grew up here and seen Chandler transform and become what it is today, I'm really excited to reinvest back in neighborhoods, because that's everyone's homes. It's including the parks and the recreation places and stuff. So my focus is going to be there as well, but public safety is a huge one. Being safe here in Chandler is really big. And, thank you so much for championing the NDO before that with the chamber and stuff, because look where we are today. So it's great.
I have a dovetail on that too a little bit. Obviously, public safety is extremely important, but neighborhoods, and I've always been on this since I've elected a council years ago. Neighborhoods are an important part of our society. There's a lot of homes out there that a lot of neighbors, non-traditional neighborhood. We don't realize that 30% of Chandler is non-traditional HOAs. And they don't have those same covenances that protects their property rights, their values. And it's important for us as a council, as we go forward, and I'm glad to hear you two say that, that we make sure we're doing the right things, both behaviors, from a stick and a carrot approach to some of those neighborhoods and keeping them clean, safe, and it's going to take energy from us to work with the neighborhoods to ensure that they are clean, safe, and working towards their keeping their property values as well. So it is important. I'm glad to hear that. And obviously public safety. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. Tough time in the 60s and 70s. Now you know how old I am. And the bottom line was, I could have give you free land, built the factory, and nobody would work there because they weren't safe. And that's important. So I'm glad those are your key elements. And of course, economic development's always going to be big in Chandler.
Always,
And
always.
so I know you're both small business owners, but give me a little thoughts on economic development. What do you think we should be looking at and doing?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question.
You want me to go to him first? Or what?
Sure, you want to go first?
Jane.
Keep it in Jay. All right, fair enough.
No, I mean, I think Angel hit the nail on the head when he said as small business owners, obviously that's going to be a priority, and understanding that it's very important. It's really been well done in Chandler. So that is preserving those economic corridors. We're not making more land, so to speak. So making sure that, one, we are preserving the land that's meant for economic development in the right ways, while still looking at the future and seeing if things need to be adjusted or changed or tweaked. I think we need to be looking not at today and tomorrow, or even for our 4-year term that we're doing, but we need to be looking 5, 10, 20 years down
Right.
the road, because I think we are standing on the shoulders of people who did that, looked out 5, 10, 20 years, and where we are now. And that's how we got there, is people had vision and thought and were planning for events that would happen that they weren't even going to be a part of. Additionally, I think we need to continue doing everything we can in terms of a city to make sure that our processes are business friendly, and making sure that we are known as a business friendly community, that we're easy to work with, our processes are simple, we are not putting up unintentional barriers to business success. That's always going to be very, very important to me.
Agreed. How about you, sir?
Well, Jane basically said everything.
Did I steal everything?
100%.
So IBIT, right? Okay, fair enough.
Jane said everything on there. Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. Obviously, as small business owners and having that perspective, we know what it takes, the risk that it takes, the sacrifice that it takes for a family to put yourself in that position. And so having a city that's behind you, that supports it, it makes it easier for you to do business and provide a service to the community is very important. So I'm very much an advocate for that and pushing that.
Yeah. So and I think it's important, and it goes, Jane, and well, I'm glad you both had that long-term vision. I remember getting the second Intel plant, and the first thing I asked was, okay, what are we going to do to make sure we get the third one?
I love that.
What's the infrastructure is? What do we do for the fourth one? And we're at that pinnacle today. The Price Road corridor is, a mecca right now. But, and I'm also looking for new. So one of the glad things I'm hearing about 2 new council members is we have a council that has 5 of us are actually less than 2 years experience. And one of the things that I know I'll be doing, the mayor will be doing, is helping, giving you advice the best I could. So please feel free to call on me anytime you want. I'll give you whatever advice I could give you. And we did that already, but try this and try that. So I'll give that public, I'll give you that open invitation, okay?
Well, that's very much appreciated.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm also open enough to know that there's new ideas, and I don't have all the ideas. So it's refreshing to see some new thought processes from both of you, and I'm looking forward to working that relationship as well. So I want to we're running out of time here, but I want to transition to one last subject: installation in January.
Yes.
You two will be installed in January. You'll be no longer council member elect.
That's good.
You will be council member.
Yes.
First
Well,
of all,
besides it being easier to say?
yeah, exactly. It'd be easier. But you've been going through a lot of whirlwind city tours. You're meeting a lot of people. What are your thoughts about installation? What's exciting, most exciting about that?
It is really exciting, and it's, I think about it as one of those sort of life moments. So I know I want to, process-wise, just remember to enjoy it. when I look at that, I feel like I want to live up to everything that people place to the people's trust in me. There were a lot of people that worked on the campaign, a lot of people I talked to, a lot of people like yourself that gave me wise advice. And I want to make
Maybe
sure
it wasn't
to be,
wise, but I gave you
well,
advice.
some kind of
Okay,
advice.
fair enough, fair enough.
but I want to live up to all of that that trust that people placed in me when they voted for me. I can't really say it, but I do mean
I know.
to live up to that. So I think that's what I'll be thinking of
Good.
on, that installation evening, that I want to do a good job.
Good for you. How about you, sir?
Yeah, that night is going to be something very memorable for myself as well, for my family, for my community, as far as the representation that I bring and someone who's just a hometown person here in Chandler. So it's going to be a special time. And I'm very excited and very proud and very eager to get to be at service to our community. As you mentioned, the collaboration between your experience on council with us coming onto council, I think is going to be taking Chandler to great strides in the future and stuff. There's great council members, mayors and stuff that led us to this path, and I'm ready to take over the baton and continue that work, not only for, as Jane said, in the next 4 years, but for 15, 20 years in the future. So future council people can say, look, this is what Angel, Jane, Matt, Harkey, they all did these things so we can be here. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Good point. Anything else before we go? We got a couple seconds left. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you don't like it.
No, I look forward to helping lay a good foundation for the future. I certainly appreciate you letting us be on the show and talking a little about what we want to accomplish. I look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. For me, I'm ready to get to work. I'm not waiting till January 12th to go in. So I'm just trying to get myself as much prepared as possible to be in this position and be ready to go. And come that day, ready to hand out my new business card to residents to let them know where they can contact me. And hopefully it's going to be translated in Spanish as well, so we can get as much assistance that we can in service to our people.
I feel very comfortable working with you, as all the council members in the past. And again, I think you both bring a perspective to the council, a maturity perspective, a small business. I'm looking forward to that. And the residents obviously saw that, so we certainly appreciate that. Well, time to go. Thank you for taking the time out today. And for you, residents, to get to know the two newly elected council members, we invite you to stay connected to Chandler through our website, chandleraz.gov. Until next time, I'm Councilmember Matt Orlando.